It is finally here. The Ford EcoSport is very close to its launch. It is here in India. It is made in India, this particular car that we have with us today. And we have all the details for you on it. Welcome to the Car and Bike Show. My name is Siddharth Vinayak Parthankar. This is the all-new Ford EcoSport and it is our top story. The EcoSport concept made its global debut at the Delhi Auto Expo in January 2012. The production car made its debut in April 2012 at the Auto China show in Beijing. And then we saw it at the Paris Motor Show making a European debut in September. And then once again at the Geneva Motor Show in March this year. No, stop. We're not going to talk about this car anymore from any global motor show. It's just high time we got the car into the Indian market now. And now that has finally happened. What a relief. Ford says that there has been no delay. This is all as per its schedule. Though of course everything from the market-shaking launch and pricing strategy of the Renault Duster to figuring out higher localization levels have meant that Ford India has taken its time getting this car ready for us. And so now we hope that the Ford management has it just right. The car's looks are very much in keeping with the concept that debuted at the Delhi Auto Expo last January, and it's good because buyers will like that kind of aggressive look. We've spoken about the looks so much over the past few months, I'm not going to go on about it, but the way that the headlamp has been styled, not just in terms of its look and its nice sleek shape, but the way it's been put in here helps add to the aerodynamics, as does the metal work here in the hood. It rises along on both sides. What it does is it picks up the air that comes and hits the car. Some of it gets swept off the headlamp, the rest of it moves here and then travels outwards as that line gently rises into the roof and again takes that blast of wind away. The wind that does survive, if you will, and comes along the side of the car, again gets picked up, and there's a little element back here which Ford designers call their kicker, and once again gets deflected off the car. Where does all this end up? Well, quite simply, it makes the overall coefficient drag on the car surprisingly good at 0.37, which is unlike what you'd expect a vehicle of this kind of shape. Not just the size, but SUVs in general don't have great aerodynamics. That's something pretty surprising on the EcoSport. The EcoSport is smart looking and certainly has road presence. It's compact though, and the design doesn't hide that fact by exaggerating the muscle. Loving this Mars red paint job, again very much like the concept. Ford says it's targeting consumers who want the next cool thing, and so the young and cool looks would help. The car with us today is the Titanium Plus top of the range model with the 1-litre EcoBoost engine under the hood. A quick glance at the engine and it's a little disappointing not to have an engine cover with the EcoBoost badging on it. After all the hype around this engine, well, I'd have expected Ford to at least put its name on there. Boot space though is fairly generous. Again, don't go comparing to larger SUVs, but compare to a large premium hatch and you're in business. The sideways opening rear door is heavy and cumbersome, and the spare wheel adds to that. Ford assures us of the durability of its hinges, though I'd be a bit worried about squeaks and rattles from this after a few years of usage. And no, the spare wheel is not an accessory and is part of standard equipment. There will be 4 trims on offer. There's Ambiente, there's Trend, there's Titanium, and then Titanium Plus. Now, Titanium Plus may not be available on the automatic 1.5-litre petrol. For obvious reasons, it'll just become too expensive. But it will be available on the other powertrains and, of course, on the manual, possibly on the 1.5 petrol as well. What does Titanium Plus really give you? Well, it gives you 6 interior airbags. It also gives you this little power start-stop button, which is, of course, keyless start-stop. It has keyless entry as well. And, it's just basically, once again, some extra goodies that have been thrown in. As far as the interiors themselves go, the front will look fairly futuristic and a lot more modern than a car like the Duster. But compared to something like an i20, because remember that buyer might just play in this field as well, and you'll find that in terms of equipment, things aren't so badly off in the market already. But where Ford does hope to make a little bit of an advance, if you will, is with its sync, which is now the full-fledged sync system that you get, unlike what you got on the Fiesta, which was just only voice commands. So what sync lets you do is literally sync your gadgets into this system, and you of course can then use voice commands, so you don't have to start fiddling with buttons. If you do, however, do this manually, you'll find the system is a little complicated, takes some getting used to, and even its interface, this screen, not very attractive. So those are a few points that might go against it, but otherwise, the way that it's all laid out, all of that is really nicely done. The sync system also integrates an emergency response feature, a first for India, which allows the car to call emergency services through the Bluetooth synced phone connection in the event of an accident which involves either airbag deployment or the emergency fuel pump shutoff being activated, or both. So if there is an accident of that nature, the system will connect the driver to the countrywide emergency services number 108. Before placing this call, Sync will allow for a 10-second gap in case the driver wants to cancel the call, and if not cancelled, well, then that call will be made. Alright, now I had lots of questions from the likes of Suku Patel, Raghav Oja, Sumit Das and Nell Joel, all asking me about the interior space proposition on this car, things like leg room, and one of them in fact wanted to know if there's a dead pedal. Well, you know what, there's not a proper dead pedal, but there is space to rest your left foot while you're driving, so that's one thing covered. The sense of space you get from the cabin is pretty decent, but I have to say that if you compare it to a Duster, you will find that it is definitely smaller. But think about the kind of perceived price point we're talking about, and then it may not seem so bad, because you will be able to seat 3 adults back here, though that would be a little cramped if the adults are on the larger size especially. But 2 people at the back, no problem. Decent legroom, not fantastic, but it's pretty generous when you compare again to large hatches and things like that. And these seats have been pushed back to an average sort of a pushback, and you know what, overall the headroom, everything makes you feel fairly decent. The thing that sort of ruins all that to a certain extent is just this high waistline. The window, had it been a little lower, would have given you a slightly greater sense of space in the cabin sitting here at the back. The seat comfort's not bad on longer drives, even though the vehicle is a tall one. You get a sense of the height, but you don't get a sense of roll, so that's nice because the suspension setting has been tuned fairly well. And under thigh support, well, you always would like a little bit extra there, but otherwise, overall on this cabin comfort sort of point, you're not doing too badly. Okay, now shall we drive? The first impression of the EcoBoost engine, it's sorted and the gearbox is very smooth. The car is light and zippy enough, yet it does not feel like a hatch due to its ride height. The handling is fairly sporty, and that's typical of Ford after all. The idea of an EcoBoost engine is to offer higher power and torque while improving efficiency by as much as 20%, making the engine at par with a hybrid or a diesel car of the similar size. The 1-litre EcoBoost motor is therefore small, but yet packs a punch, especially impressing with the 170 Nm of torque. The engine block is cast iron and not aluminium to ensure faster warm-up. The exhaust manifold is also built into the cylinder head for the same reason, all of this in an effort to increase the engine's efficiency. But I wasn't thrilled initially that we weren't going to get the other powertrains to play with today. It's turned out well because it's given us the chance to really spend a lot of time with the EcoBoost, and that's where a lot of your questions are coming from as well, right? Lots of doubts about whether or not it's powerful enough. And in fact, Agam Bhandari in particular, I know you sent me a tweet asking about the refinement levels on this engine. Well, you know what? Put those doubts to rest, because except for the initial pickup, you might get a little sense of a lack of power. Overall, it's nice, smooth, and really is pretty refined too. In fact, to the point where you don't always realize that you're driving a 3-cylinder engine, because when you do hear the engine at higher revs, it's actually a nice sound. It gives you a sense of power, which is, again, pretty welcoming, especially when you have the worry of having an underpowered motor. So none of that is true. The 122 odd bhp of power is pretty ample, but it's the torque that's the real story. The low and mid-range is just very satisfying, gives you good drivability in the city as well, and not too much gear changing. In fact, the gear changing itself though is pretty smooth because it's a nice transmission as well. And you know what, the other thing that a lot of people were concerned about, Shubham Bansal, you also sent me this query. asking about the NVH levels. How noisy is the cabin? Well, you know what? After having just been burned by the noise in the Honda Amaze, that is something that Indian buyers are thinking about more and more. From an SUV, you expect it to be a little bit noisier when it comes to the wind noise, overall sound insulation, whether it is road noise or engine noise, or in fact, like I said, the wind noise is actually pretty good. So the cabin with the windows up does have a nice quiet feel to it, and you can enjoy that music system. You can also perhaps get that sync system to understand you when you speak to it. I did try the sync system to play music from a USB stick, by the way, and it seemed to work fine once you get used to talking to it slowly.
Bluetooth audio, please say a command.
Play USB.
USB, please say a command.
Play artist Michael Jackson. The EcoBoost's turbo kicks in very effortlessly, making the engine free revving and without any shifts or starts. Ford claims mileage of 18.9 kilometers per litre, but the car's onboard real-time mileage calculator in its trip computer screen showed me anything between 7.8 and 11.9 at best. I will discount this somewhat as a reading issue coupled with really bad Goa traffic that I had to contend with. But having said that, the claimed mileage on this and other variants will need to be tested once we have the car for longer. I did find the air conditioning very effective, and yes, that's despite the high humidity and heat, and it did cool very well. The cabin has 9 bottle holders, if you please, and while it's not clear what variant will get just what equipment, the Titanium Plus will likely have the 6 airbags, the start-stop button, basically the top-end goodies will probably stay top-end. Now there will be 8 color options on the EcoSport. We've got 2 of them here. Of course, this one's the Figo, but you will get this blue, the kinetic blue, on the EcoSport as well. And the 8th color, which is going to be yellow, will only come a few months after the launch. So you'll have 7 at the start. And of course, the typical black, silver, white, all of those are in there, though there won't be a red because you've already got the Mars red. We've also parked this Figo next to the EcoSport just to clarify that sense of size. A lot of you have this doubt as to just how big the EcoSport is or just how small it is. Well, now you can kind of get a comparison and just judge for yourself because, well, you do know the Figo fairly well. One of you also tweeted in and asked about shut lines. Yes, it is a bit of an issue because if you look at the way the car's shut lines are, in some areas, especially in the door panels, you do find that it almost seems intentionally sort of bold, and then yet in other areas you find that it's nice and tight. So yeah, there's a little bit of incongruity there when it comes to the shut lines, but overall build quality on the car does seem pretty good. On that note, let's slip into a short break here. We come back with more on CNB. Welcome back to CNB. More fun facts about the EcoSport that's still with us. Now, the designers intentionally threw in this cladding that runs all along the sides and sort of rises out into the bumper as well. Not just because all SUVs have it and it makes it look more rugged. Sure, there is that. But it also breaks the monotony from the paintwork and sort of de-emphasizes the rather tall stance that the vehicle otherwise would have had. And it also brings your attention to the 200mm ground clearance, which is pretty generous. The car though is below 4 meters, so that won't affect the company in terms of pricing when it comes to the so-called SUV tax that we all know about. Interestingly enough, it also has a 550 millimeter wading capability. Again, something you didn't see coming, especially because there is no 4x4, and so you don't typically attribute this as a very rugged off-roading kind of a vehicle. The other powertrain options will feature engines that we've seen on the Fiesta, the 1.5-litre TI VCT petrol, which will have the only automatic option in the pack, which uses the same dual-clutch 6-speed gearbox that's also seen on the Fiesta. And then you got the 1.5-litre TDCi, which again holds the promise to be a fun ride given the massive torque on it. None of these variants are being offered with a 4x4 option, either here in India or anywhere else for that matter. And remember, the EcoBoost engine variant is coming to the Indian market first. Ford is hoping for a big volume success with the EcoSport, and so I do expect aggressive pricing that will challenge not just the compact SUVs but also the premium hatchbacks and compact sedans. In my view, the chief rivals will be the Renault Duster, Maruti Suzuki Ertiga, the Hyundai i20, and yes, of course, the Verna and Vento segmenters too. And remember, it is EcoSport and not EcoSport. Well, you all want to know, of course, when is the car launching, what are the prices going to be like, but you've got to still be a little bit patient for that. In the meanwhile, there are other things about the strategy around the EcoSport that we'd like to ask Mr. Joginder Singh, who is, of course, the President and MD at Ford India. Good to see you, Joginder.
Good to see you.
And great to see the car here on Indian soil. I can tell you there's so much anticipation. First question then, tell us everything we want to know about that strategy.
Well, this is a very good proof point of the product-led transformation that we are going through in Ford in India, as you know, and this is a global product. It's got a global platform, but it's been designed for Indian customers' needs and wants. And we think it's a very unique proposition, and it's a sub 4-meter compact SUV. We think it's the right size for the market, and it's a unique proposition.
Lots of anticipation, of course, as you know. The buzz has been almost out of control, but, a lot of people have been asking you when are you going to launch it? Now, I know you're going to tell me it's all on track, but just give us a sense of how you've been able to hold on to some of that.
The good news is that our manufacturing factory in our Chennai plant is all set to go. We are ready to go with the production of this beautiful compact SUV, the EcoSport. The Urban Discoveries campaign we are going through it right now. We think it'll be completed by the end of May or early part of June, and as soon as that is complete, we'll commence the booking process on this, and that'll be sometime in June now.
Capacity itself, I mean, we're anticipating quite a rush for this car, so how do you sort of prepare for that kind of an onslaught?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, all the metrics that we track for a car that's about to be launched, the metrics are through the roof. So that's why we think it'll be a transformational product, not just for Ford India, but also for the industry as well. So we invested $142 million in our Chennai factory to prepare for the EcoSport. And I can tell you that our factory is ready to produce as much as the customer wants, and we always align production to demand, and in this case, the demand is going to go through the roof, and we'll be aligning the production accordingly.
How much pressure was there on you, or is there still on you, to just get that pricing right?
Well, thankfully, we have a very good level of localization on this product.
Yes.
And our expectation is that localization will increase over a period of time. We're on a localization strategy, if you like, and our global suppliers who are supporting on this product are also localizing in India. So they're bringing their design thinking, their innovative thinking to India as well. And we feel that over a period of time, our global suppliers, the capability of the supply base in India to support our global suppliers will improve, even on the more complicated technologies like the powertrain technology. So we feel that localization is actually going to improve. So the value proposition that we have to offer our customers, both in terms of price positioning as well as cost of ownership, will actually improve over a period of time as we localize more.
All right, so last question then, Joginder. Tell us, I'm sure you have an internal figure, whether you can share that with me or not, I'm not sure, but what's the kind of target that you have for this, either in terms of volumes or in terms of positioning for the brand?
My target, I'm in my role, to satisfy customer demand, and we'll satisfy customer demand. Our expectation is that the demand is going to go through the roof. All the indicators are as we just discussed, and we will match our production to satisfy customer demand.
All right. Well, it's going to be a tough task from whatever we can guess at this point as well. So all
Well,
the very
it's
best.
exciting. It's exciting times, and I think
Yeah.
that the proposition, as I say, is such a compelling proposition that we're offering the customer. It's a unique proposition. It's our place in India's industry right now.
Well,
So we'll take full advantage of that.
it's certainly one of the hottest launches of the year. We
Yeah,
can't wait.
absolutely.
Thank you, and
Yeah.
all the very best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Now, Venki Surya sent me a really interesting tweet asking 3 key differentiators between the EcoSport and the Duster. Some of this would be premature, Venki, because after all, we don't know the exact pricing or the overall strategy from Ford, but we have an indication from the company now, and so I'm going to stick my neck out and say that the positioning and the pricing could well be a differentiator between this vehicle and the Duster. The second point would be, again, sort of stemming from that, because Ford gets a lot more flexibility thanks to that EcoBoost engine, both in terms of pricing, in terms of positioning, and also in terms of efficiency for a petrol. So that engine, little gem, could make a difference. And the third differentiator for me would be the technology on board, because, well, a lot of buyers may not think that's important, but a lot of urban and a lot of younger buyers might like some of those toys on board. Ford will certainly spend a lot of time talking about it. So that's the 3 factors that I think could set it apart. Of course, there are certain negatives, the size and the overall space proposition being the key factor there. So send in your feedback on what you think of the EcoSport. We'll have plenty more details, of course, on the vehicle as we get closer to the launch as well. And all your other feedback too. Keep it all coming in. I will be waiting for it. On that note, it's goodbye. Please wear your seatbelts and your helmets if you're on a two-wheeler. Bye-bye.